Hello, my name is Emma Rutledge, and this is my Lest We Forget project for U.S. History 1302. This semester, I was asked to pick a well-known controversial figure from our history and explain why they should be remembered. I chose Richard M. Nixon and his biography, The American President series, The 37th President by Elizabeth Drew, a political journalist. Richard Nixon remains controversial due to his role in the well-known Watergate scandal. But before we get into that, here is some background information. Nixon was born on January 9, 1913, in Yorba Linda, California. His life came to a close on April 22, 1994, at the age of 81. He graduated from Duke Law School in 1937 and practiced law in California for 5 years. In 1942, he started working for the federal government, but joined the Navy soon after. He was in the Navy for 4 years and rose to the rank of lieutenant commander. While working for the federal government, he served as a representative and senator for California. From 1953 to 1961, he served as the United States' 36th Vice President under Dwight D. Eisenhower. Richard Nixon started his presidential campaign in 1960. He ran as presidential candidate as a part of the Republican Party. His competitor was Hubert H. Humphrey of the Democratic Party. Elizabeth Drew recounts how Nixon ran his campaign on the platform of peace in Vietnam and limiting our involvement. He ended up winning the popular vote with 31.7 million against Humphrey's 30.9 million. And he won the electoral votes 301 to 191. Richard Nixon was president for 5 years, from 1969 to 1974. In Elizabeth Drew's biography of Nixon, it states that some thought Nixon's time as president would be uneventful. Instead, he proved them wrong. He established the Environmental Protection Agency, which worked towards enforcing national guidelines, and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, which ensured working environments free of health and safety hazards. While we find out in Nixon's biography, he wasn't very big on domestic policies, he was very invested in foreign affairs. Furthermore, Nixon reduced the United States' involvement in the Vietnam War by taking military personnel out of Vietnam and leaving combat roles to Vietnamese troops. Along with this, he also eased tensions with the Soviet Union and China. Nixon formally recognized the One China principle and signed 10 agreements with the Soviet Union, one dealing with a nuclear arms limitation. Nixon's reason to fame, the Watergate scandal, was not one, but a series of scandals involving the break-in and cover-up of White House officials. His administration covered up the involvement of a break-in on June 17, 1972. The building broke into was the Democratic National Committee headquarters in the Watergate office building. It was found that the ones who had broken in wiretapped phones and stole documents concerning the Democratic Party. Nixon arranged to provide thousands of dollars to keep the burglars quiet. When it was revealed that Nixon had installed a recording system in the White House, he was ordered to turn over the tapes he had by the Supreme Court, and while he took his time deciding to comply, it was voted that he shall be impeached for his actions. With the promise of impeachment ahead, Nixon resigned on August 8th, and soon after leaving office, he released the tapes to the public. With his successor, Gerald Ford, however, pardoned Nixon for his actions as president. As president, Nixon had a right to serve and lead this country to the best of his ability. Elizabeth Drew states in her biography of Nixon that his grit was a strength as much as it was the cause of his downfall. Furthermore, everyone is human and they make bad decisions and mistakes. Nixon's bad decision only happened to result in society's distrust of someone having as much power as a president. We should remember him and use him as an example of how our presidents are not bigger-than-life people and that they are not perfect, just like the rest of us. We should use him as an example of how we cannot ask inhuman things of our presidents and that we should choose who we want to lead us more wisely.